Hey everyone, how's everyone doing? I just want to remind you again that if you have not listened to my past videos, to please do so you know what I'm talking about. This is day 6 of the 100-day challenge, and I want to fast forward to now the day of my surgery. And I went to the hospital, and there was a very nice man there who marked my right side with this giant black marker with an X, and this was so they wouldn't operate on the wrong side, which it's kind of scary, isn't it, to think that they would take out the wrong side. But he did that, and then I remember I went to the pre-op room, and there was this woman next to me, and she was laughing up a storm. I mean, just laughing and laughing and laughing. And I thought, what's wrong with her? I mean, I really thought that she was some mental case. I thought she was just completely mental, and she was just happening to have surgery, and they put her next to me. But really, she had had Demerol, and Demerol is a pain drug, but it's also used before surgery to calm people down. And this nurse reassured me that very soon I'd have that drug too, and I'd be just where she was. So they had given me Xanax before, but wasn't really cutting it, wasn't strong enough. And so the next thing I remember is them giving me the Demerol. And after that, I remember my heart just completely going crazy. And telling someone who that was, I don't know, because now I'm on this drug Demerol. It's very much a blur. And I told them there's something wrong with my heart. It's not beating right. It was skipping. It was doing all sorts of crazy things, which I've had heart palpitations before, but this was just off the charts. It was rolling up into my neck. It just felt awful. Just completely awful. And the next thing I remember on that drug is being on a table, and I was sitting there, and they were giving me an epidural. For lung surgery, they like to give epidurals in the upper spinal cord, so you won't have too much pain after surgery. Even with pain medication, it can be very painful. They go through your back, and I have an 8-inch scar underneath my right shoulder blade from where they go in. They go in through your back to get to your lung. And I remember telling them there's something wrong with my heart, and someone behind me said, "Don't move, I'm putting this in your spine." And I know epidurals can actually paralyze you if you're not careful, so I think that was his concern at that moment. After that, I remember nothing at all until I woke up in recovery. And the good news is they thought they would have to remove my entire lower right lobe of my lung, but they didn't have to. I only had a partial lobectomy of my right lung. The tissue above, the damaged tissue, was still very good. So as far as breathable lung, they've only removed 2% of breathable lung. And the good thing, which is way off topic, I used to be able to hold my breath for 40 seconds. And now, with my lung fixed, I can hold my breath for 1 minute and 30 seconds. So that's a good thing. More than most people who don't exercise, and I don't exercise, which will be changing as the 100-day challenge goes on. Time was very messed up after surgery. I remember looking at the clock and seeing that it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon, closing my eyes, and then it was suddenly 3 o'clock. Now I'm an hour behind. I was very drugged up. At one point, I remember, and I can't even vouch that any of this is real that happened, but there was someone who was mopping the floor with a mop in the recovery room, and I saw the mop slide underneath the curtain, and all of a sudden it was a raccoon, and this raccoon was running in and out of the curtain. And then this ocean came up, and it was like this wave was about to hit me, and there were seagulls, and then it stopped, and I was back in that room. So I was very drugged up. From there, they took me to recovery, and I stayed in recovery for, I think, a little over 24 hours. Not recovery, I'm sorry, intensive care. They put me in there for 24 hours, and lots of nice people in intensive care, except for one person, Linda. She was not nice, and I won't go even into it, but she was just awful, and I hope that she does not work there anymore. But everyone else is very, very nice. And after that, they took me to the heart and lung recovery ward, which is on the 4th floor of the hospital that I was staying in. And I stayed there for 7 days. where I recovered. I had a chest tube coming out of my side. I had a catheter. I had a port in my neck. Well, it's actually like a 3-thing port, so they can inject medication into your neck really quick to get it right in your bloodstream in case something goes wrong. I had an IV, and every day they got me up and they put me in a chair, and I would fall asleep because I was on Percocet, Oxycontin, Lortab, Xanax, anything, you name it. I was on it, and after 3 days, they would have me walk around and get my strength back, and then I got out of the hospital. And I stayed at my parents' house with my boyfriend at the time, Greg. My parents let him stay there, which was very nice of them. And I recovered for about a week. And it takes about 3 months to recover from lung surgery. But the worst part, I would say, was the first week and a half after I got out of the hospital. And then I went back to my apartment, and I stayed there. And Greg stayed with me, and my female roommate, who I always talk about. She was very supportive, and she was a smoker, and she would always smoke outside. But now I want to fast forward to what that did. You would think I would have learned many lessons from that, and I did, but I wanted to be a normal boy again. I wanted to be like it never happened at all. And you can't do that. You can't have an experience and go back to how it was. But I did. I tried. And I'm still in that in a lot of ways in 2007. I went across the street and bought a pack of cigarettes. And I wanted to smoke to see if it hurt. I thought, well, they cut me open. Maybe it's going to hurt. Maybe it's going to burn, And I got a pack of cigarettes. And I only smoked a few here and there. No one knew, of course. God, I would never, tell anyone that. It would be devastating. I'd be embarrassed. But back then I was smoking, and very secretively. And my life started to go right back to where it was. I started to have ideas of starting back up the porn site. I was smoking. I started drinking. Soon after, the person who came into my life, which I think was, sent by an angel, which was Greg, he started having different interests as soon as I was better, and I had different interests, and we broke up. And I continued walking like they wanted me to do, to exercise, have my lung reinflate completely and make sure everything healed. And I did eat proper foods, but I started my secret life again, and I started to smoke. And I was also on a lot of pain pills for many, many months at this point. Not many, but enough to be addicted. And I would tell the doctors I still had pain, even when I didn't. And back then, they did not know that Oxycontin was, now it's labeled the poor man's heroin. But they didn't know that back then. Or at least the pharmaceutical companies knew, but the doctors did not know. At least I hope they didn't know. And I was taking tons of pills. I would alter my personality. If I felt down, pill time. Take 2 Oxycontins, 1 Lortab, and wash it down with a beer and maybe a Valium later. And you'd be fine. And that is when I went into addiction. And that is where I still am today, not with pain pills. I did, and I will explain this, in the next video. I did kick the pain medication. I did kick the benzodiazepines. I'm not on anything right now. But to this very day, to replace all those things, I replaced it with alcohol, and I still, to this very day, continue to smoke, despite what I went through. And that's my story for today, and I will update you all tomorrow. So have a good day. I'll talk to you later.